the highest point. Clear target. So in every aspect of it, I'm just glad that there was no Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
You were pretty much on your deathbed.
Yes. Yeah. As I hear about it, when you're going through a medical tsunami, such as what I've gone through.
And I'll tell you the nature of the industry based on a secret that I recently found out from someone who is credible, that let me in on some things that I didn't know even up until lately.
First of all, do y'all believe that she even wrote those texts to Al B. Sure? There's something wrong with this man. He hasn't been passed away for 24 hours. Why didn't you, first of all, why are you screenshotting somebody's text?
Y'all, this is getting real scary. Al B sure just made some chilling claims after Angie Stone's tragic passing, and if history tells us anything, he might be next. If you remember, Al B sure tried to call out the industry before, and not too long after, he mysteriously ended up in a coma for days. Now, with these new revelations about Angie, he's speaking out again, and judging by how this industry moves, he might have just put a target on his back again, because after everything that's come out, the eerie details of Angie's final moments, her organ transplant being delayed, and the way the industry allegedly moves in the shadows, people are asking one question: did they want Angie gone? And even worse, is Al B sure? Next, let's get into it. So after Angie tragically passed in that highly suspicious highway accident, Al B sure took to social media, and baby, what he posted had people shook. He dropped private messages between him and Angie, where she allegedly revealed she had been waiting on a life-saving organ transplant. But here's where it gets chilling. In those texts, Angie basically said she believed the reason for the delay was because she was black. She reportedly wrote something like, "They keep telling me to wait. I'm starting to wonder if it's because I'm black." And that right there had people online in absolute shambles. Because let's be real, this isn't some conspiracy theory. We know that black women face medical discrimination all the time. Delayed treatment, ignored pain, and being put at the back of the line? It's a pattern. And Al B sure wasn't having it. He reposted the messages and straight up called out the system, saying that Angie knew something wasn't right. He basically said her death wasn't just an accident, it was a reflection of how the healthcare system treats black people, especially black women. But here's the part that's making everybody pause. What if her death wasn't just neglect? What if it was intentional? Now let's talk about how Angie died, because something ain't adding up. Angie and her band were traveling in a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van heading to Atlanta after a Mardi Gras concert in Mobile, Alabama. Everything seemed fine until suddenly the van overturned on Interstate 65, and then right after that, a Freightliner semi-truck slams into it. And guess what? Out of everyone in that van, Angie was the only person who didn't make it.
R&B singer Angie Stone has died in a car crash. We're told she had just finished a concert in Mobile, Alabama Friday, was heading to Atlanta when the van she was riding in crashed. It's still not clear why they crashed.
To look at the scene in that truck, it looked like he purposely hit them. Only the front driver was messed up on his truck. It's like he hit them on purpose, and I have the video.
Now let's be real, how does a whole van full of people survive? But the one person who was allegedly having issues with her organ transplant and was calling out the system just happens to be the only fatality? I don't know about y'all, but that's giving setup. And guys, the streets are already whispering that certain industry figures, including labels she had beef with, might have had a hand in this. Now here's where it gets even darker. If what Al B sure is saying is true, Angie's transplant wasn't just delayed because of medical bias, it may have been deliberately held back. And if that's the case, the real question is, why? Why would the industry want her gone? What did she know? Because if she was already being blocked from getting life-saving treatment and then she suddenly dies in a freak accident where she's the only fatality, that's not just a coincidence. That's a pattern. Let's not forget, Angie Stone had a long history of speaking out against the music industry. And we all know how that goes. The industry does not like when artists start getting too loud about their mistreatment. And y'all, Angie, she was loud. After her massive success with her debut album Black Diamond, Angie made the move to J Records, which was run by none other than Clive Davis. And at first, it seemed like a solid move. But y'all, things got messy fast. When Angie was working on her third album, she had a vision. She wanted to call it Diary of a Soul Sister. She had legends like Gladys Knight and Chaka Khan lined up for features. It was about to be something special. But then, out of nowhere, Alicia Keys drops the Diary of Alicia Keys. And next thing you know, Clive Davis pressures Angie to change her whole album concept. Like, Let's really talk about that. Angie, a grown woman, an established artist, is told to just scrap her vision because a younger artist with more label backing put out a similar title, but that was the beginning of the drama. Angie felt like she was getting pushed aside, and when she realized J Records wasn't going to support her the way she deserved, she said, "Let me out this contract," and in 2005, they let her go. But see, Angie wasn't done, not by a long shot. After leaving J Records, Angie signed with Stax Records, and baby, she came back swinging. In 2007, she dropped The Art of Love and War, and it was a certified hit. The album hit number 11 on the Billboard 200. It topped the R&B hip-hop charts. But even with all that success, Angie felt Stax wasn't supporting her properly. She said they didn't know how to promote an artist of her experience and caliber. And once again, it was the same story. A talented black woman being underappreciated, overlooked, and boxed out by an industry that only values artists when they're young, marketable, and easy to control. And y'all, that was just the beginning. Now, here's where things get even messier, y'all. Because Angie Stone's story isn't just about record labels doing her dirty. This situation involves some major industry names. And one of those names, Mary J. Blige. Let's take it back. When Mary J. Blige was just coming up at Uptown Records, her manager at the time, Kurt Woodley, personally reached out to Angie Stone. Why? Because he felt Mary reminded him of Angie. He literally asked Angie to mentor Mary. And y'all know Angie, she's always been about lifting people up. So she agreed to help Mary out, sharing her knowledge, her experience, and just genuinely supporting another black woman in the game.
He said, "My name is Kurt Woodley." I said, "Yeah." He said, "We found an artist that she kind of sounds like you. She reminds us of you, but she's not, polished."
But guess what? Mary never showed any gratitude. She never gave Angie her flowers, never publicly acknowledged the help she got, and if that wasn't shady enough, y'all, this next part will have you side-eyeing the entire industry. So allegedly, there was a song Angie had recorded with D'Angelo, a song she had worked on, put her energy into. But instead of getting her credit, Mary allegedly took the song without her permission. Now, we already know the music industry is cutthroat, but this was straight up grimy. Angie was out here mentoring artists, helping careers take off, and what did she get in return? Her work snatched. No credit, no thanks. Just disrespect. And y'all, this is just one example. Angie had multiple situations like this throughout her career. This is exactly why people are saying the industry wanted her silenced. She knew too much. She had too many receipts, and she wasn't afraid to speak up. Oh, but it gets even deeper, y'all, because somehow Diddy's name gets pulled into this mess too. Now listen, Angie had beef with multiple people in the industry, but she always said that during all that drama, Diddy had never spoken to her, not once. But then, out of nowhere one day, Diddy approached her and asked her to pray with him. Now, why would Diddy suddenly be crying out for prayer like that? This was right after the tragic 1991 charity basketball game stampede at CCNY, City College of New York. If y'all don't know, that was a deadly incident that left 9 people dead and many others injured. It was a huge scandal that rocked the industry, and Diddy, who had organized the event, was catching major heat. Reports were saying he was getting threats, and according to Angie, he was scared for his life, and that's when he came to her. She said he saw the God in her, that he was crying out for help, basically letting her know that underneath all the fame, he was still a real soul who feared God.
And Puffy came to me, first time, speaking to me as a decent human being. And he said, "Hey, Miss Stone." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" He said, "How are you?" I said, "I'm fine. I'm shocked you speaking to me." He said, "Miss Stone, would you please pray with me?" They were singling him out, and I don't think that he thought he was gonna survive it.
But listen, some people believe that conversation may have gone deeper than just a prayer session. Now, here's where things get even shadier. Diddy's upcoming trial is set for May, and folks are starting to wonder, what exactly did he tell Angie during that emotional moment? Because if he admitted to something that could come back to bite him in court, that would be a major problem. And y'all know Diddy and Clive Davis are tight. Diddy has always said how much Clive mentored him, how Clive helped shape his career.
So I have to ask you, what was your favorite memory working with Diddy?
You know, personally, I've got to tell you, he really is a major star in this film tonight. He's a spokesman all the way through. I met him before I ever knew of him. I met him when he was 21 years old.
So if Angie was out here holding on to some secrets that could get Diddy cooked in court, both of them would have a reason to keep her quiet. Now, if y'all thought the label drama and industry beef were bad, the financial situation, y'all, that's where it gets real dirty. See, in the years leading up to her passing, Angie got real vocal about her money issues, especially with Universal Music Group, UMG. She wasn't just saying she was underpaid. No, sis was out here accusing them of straight up withholding her royalties for decades. And listen, that's not something you say lightly. Angie was out here telling people that Universal took pretty much everything from her. And the timing of this whole situation? Crazy. Because she made these claims while she was battling a severe blood infection that forced her to take a break from performing. So while she was recovering, she started looking deeper into her financial records. And that's when she allegedly found all these irregularities that pointed to possible mismanagement of her earnings.
Only to find out a lot of my publishing, a lot of my royalties, my mechanicals, they have all pretty much been stolen.
And if there's one thing we know, the industry does not like when artists start asking too many questions about their money. Now, let's be real for a second, y'all. Looking at everything that went down, from the label disputes, to the financial battles, to her transplant being delayed, to her being the only fatality in that van crash, does this sound like just a tragic accident, or does it sound like someone wanted Angie gone? Because at this point, it's looking real suspect. And y'all already know when the industry wants to silence you, they have their ways. Now, here's where it gets even scarier. With everything Al B. Sure has been saying, people are starting to get worried for him. Let's not forget, this man already tried to expose the industry before, and what happened? He mysteriously ended up in a coma for a few days. Now, after Angie Stone's death, he's out here again, calling out the accident, the doctors, and the industry's role in what happened to her. And if we've learned anything, it's that when you start exposing too much, they come for you next. And that's a crazy thought, y'all. So let's talk about it. Do y'all think Angie Stone's death was really just a tragic accident? Or was there more to it? Is Al B. Sure putting himself in danger by speaking out? And most importantly, how deep does this music industry cover-up really go? I need y'all to drop your thoughts in the comments below because this one is wild. And if you loved this deep dive, smash that like button, hit that subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Because trust me, there's more where this came from.